Hi everybody, Jillian here. Welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to share with you my December daily album days 17 through 25. So I have previously shared days 16 and forward, and if you guys are interested in seeing those, you can just click on the links in the description below. So here's the last installment. So on day 17, you'll remember that I had this tag in here for day 16. Day 17 was an invitation for a party that we were going to. On the back of that invitation, I just took some cardstock from American Crafts, cut it down, and punched holes into it. And then what I did, I printed these photos out 3x3 and didn't really have a page protector set up in my foundation pages to accommodate them. So what I did was just simply matted them with some white cardstock, and I used my tiny attacher to staple them onto the cardstock before I adhered it to the invitation. And because I knew it was going to be out of a page protector, I didn't want to glue it. I don't trust any of the glues that I have just yet. That way they wouldn't fall out. And I did the same thing with these wood veneer stars from Studio Calico. I just used 3 and then stapled them around the page also so that they are in there and they feel pretty nice and sturdy. So on day 17, I used this paper from a very old Studio Calico card kit, along with the rubber banner from the Paisley Press kit. This 17 came from the Emily Lay mini kit last year. I heat embossed it white, and then I used the stamp set from the Pam Garrison mini kit and just gold embossed these little asterisks onto the 17. I decided to use this card from the Pam Garrison mini kit with this one. This kind of reminded me of gingerbread, and then this card up here reminds me of like the gumdrops that you would see on a gingerbread house. So I wanted to keep those two together, and I just wrote some quick journaling up here about the party. The next day, my son came home with this weird fever out of nowhere, and we basically just spent the day on the couch with him sleeping on one of us. And so I'm just documenting that here on this card from A Beautiful Mess. It was from last December's messy box. And then I just used the stars again, along with some things from my stash. Like this 18 is from the Snow and Cocoa collection. This acrylic currently is from an old Studio Calico kit, and I just kept it pretty simple and not very Christmassy because it was just kind of an everyday story. This, I don't necessarily have a day. I guess this is a day 18 spread. I had this in my foundation pages, and I trimmed it down a little bit, this white paper from the Jasmine Jones mini kit from last year, and I just wanted to document some of our favorite things. So I took a screenshot of a Bubble Guppies episode that my son is in love with, took a picture of some soup I had made, and just an older photo from earlier in the month, and kind of documented from everyone's point of view what they said that they were, what a few of their favorite things were this December. So obviously my son is 2, and I kind of imagined what his were, knowing that this was one of them. And then I kind of interviewed my husband and whittled down his favorite things from December. I used some of the washi tape from the Pam Garrison kit, and then this chipboard also to fill in kind of this blank space here. This pattern paper that it's backed on is from Basic Gray's Juniper Berry collection from quite a while ago, so I'm not sure if that's available, but if it is, I'll go ahead and link it. On day 19, I used some things from my kits from last year. So the Silver Star and the Twinkle Twinkle banner are from the main kit from last year. I really liked this pom-pom page and wanted to keep this just kind of simple because there is a lot going on this page. So just trying to keep it balanced. And then I just used some older Allie Edwards white stickers to get the date on there. And I hope that it sticks well on the glitter star. We'll see what it looks like next year. Day 20, I still have a sick baby, and we were at the doctor, so we didn't do much. So I just took a picture of all of his medicines lined up in front of the tree, and then a picture of him later on in the evening playing or watching the train going around the tree. And then on this day, I had kind of messed up. I had my foundation pages set through the rest of the month, and I thought I was going to have a 6x8 photo for this day to put on the back of this one, and I didn't, so I kind of had to improvise here. So I just took this paper from Chamel's Christmas line last year, and then used these plastic numbers from the Young at Heart Documenter kit from Studio Calico. I'm not sure if you can see that on camera. It's pretty light. I used the transparent piece from the Paisley Press kit, just kind of layered around the 20, and then some random sequins that I had in my stash to kind of bring your eye down here. I feel like I need to put something else here, like some washi tape or something to ground it, so at this point I'm not sure if I'm going to go back and make any changes. I'm kind of done with this project, but we'll see. So day 21, I didn't really stick to what happened on that day. So on the 20th, we went to the doctor, and then on that same evening, we went and toured this this historical house. And so I kind of just spread it out over 2 days, and I barely even am remembering it now, a week later. So I'm sure it won't bother me in the years to come. But I just used some things that I had left over from the main kit last year, like this red label and this phrase sticker that says Twinkle. And then I loved these gold stars from the kit. I use them almost every day, or the white ones, and I still have a ton left over, so those were definitely one of my favorite things in this album, and something that provided some cohesion. And then I finally got around to using one of these tags. I knew I wanted to use some washi tape across the bottom. This is from the washi sheet from the Paisley Press kit. And then on the back, I decided to use this acrylic word that I had received in a Studio Calico kit or something like that. And I layered this red doily on the back of the tag, and then I glued using some very, very, very thin red line tape that I had cut down. I adhered this onto the tag, so it's not really going anywhere, but I was happy to finally find a place for this word. And so over here I'm just using some cards from the kit, keeping it pretty simple. I snapped a photo of my son sleeping on me. That's what he had been doing for probably 3 days straight. Just kind of documenting that. Day 22 is the ubiquitous wrapping paper shot. And you'll notice here, this is kind of where I made a mistake. This was my 6x8 photo, and you'll see here this page protector is 2 3x4s and a 4x6. Again, I just glued the 6x8 onto this, as I did previously in the month. When I was doing the foundation pages and kind of mapping out what was going to happen for the rest of the month, I think I thought that this was going to go on the reverse of this, but it didn't, and it worked out okay. So I just kind of wanted to stack everything. I knew that I wanted in this white space when I took the photo to put the number 22 down here. And then I used the stamp set that came with the Storytelling with December Daily class, and I just kind of stacked the sentiments up top, and just kind of kept adding embellishments or adding elements until I was pleased with it. So I'm pretty pleased with how this came out. It kind of reminds me of a little Christmas tree. I used also some older Ali Edwards elements. For instance, these 2 stars are from the Me Story kit. I think this chipboard circle might be as well. There's really only one word on this page, and that's helping. So I just included a shot of my son helping me wrap presents, and so I really feel like that's all I really needed to say about this story. On the 23rd, I got a little more creative. My son is terrified of Santa, and since he's just getting over, tonsillitis and, being sick and having a fever, I didn't want to really stand in line with him for 2 hours just to see him terrified and freak out on Santa's lap. I just couldn't do that to him this year, so to get my son's picture with Santa this year, I Googled images of Santa on Google Images, and then printed this out, and then just took a picture of my son and put it on here. So this is the Santa photo for this year, and then I used this chipboard up here from the Pam Garrison mini kit that says Dear Santa, and then just kind of wrote a little note out documenting how my son is kind of terrified of Santa now, and even clings to us extra hard when we walk by the inflatable Santa in our neighbor's yard. So just something a little cheeky in there. That's really my style of journaling and storytelling. On day 24, this was kind of like the intro. Both my and my husband's family are local, and we had a lot of people come visit us this year, and so I knew I was going to have a lot of pictures. And then I used this circle from the Up Story kit that says Here We Go, just to kind of introduce the 24th and 25th. I had a really hard time editing photos for this, and I decided just to include all my favorites. So in days past, there was maybe 1 or 2 photos per day, but on the 24th and 25th there are tons, and I kind of like it that way. It's a little different from the rest of the album. So on the 24th I just have a large picture of my son here in front of some of his presents at my parents' house, and then that's just kind of like introducing the day, and then we go through and I have a lot of inserts in here. So this may just be my thing, and it's kind of weird, but I feel like when I have a full page like this and a full page like this, that is where the story starts and that's where the story ends for the day. But I had a lot happening on these days, and so I didn't want to. I'm like limiting myself in this way, and I know it's kind of maybe weird to some people, but I didn't want to start here and then go past this page to tell the story of the 24th. So that's why I have so many inserts in here. I feel like as long as there's just inserts and not a full page, then like this is the 24th. So I hope that makes sense. I'm not sure that it does, but that's why I have so many inserts in here. Going chronologically through our day and telling the stories that way. So every Christmas Eve we take a family photo in front of our Christmas tree, and we did that in the morning at like 6:30 before we headed to my parents' house, and my son was not having it, so I've got a little, you know, snarky journaling here, nothing but good cheer over here, since he's obviously freaking out. And then I'm just telling the story of all of our traditions on Christmas Eve. So we got all of these done in the morning before 7 a.m. before we had to leave to go to my parents' house. So here is another insert. I'm using the Office Depot tab for this insert, and just documenting another tradition, hanging our stockings. And then I went ahead and used this card from the Pam Garrison mini kit. And it's interesting because whenever I stamped in this project, I embossed, and I used this stamp set that says Favorite Tradition from the Kelly Perky stamp set that I got from her shop, which is unfortunately no longer available. It was the 2014 Christmas stamp. So I really liked how that looked in the gold glitter embossing powder. And then on the back is some more of our traditions. So kind of jumping forward here, this is like 7 in the morning, hanging our stockings, and then we came back home for the Christmas Eve service at our church, and so just kind of showing my son and his Christmas PJs, another tradition, our candlelit service, another tradition, and then something that I like to include in my albums is what I am sharing on my Instagram stories. So for any of you guys who maybe saw that on my Insta stories, my son, when they turned all the lights off and we lit our candles, shouted, "Too dark in here!" And I documented that on Instagram and saved that photo so that I could print it out later with the text on it. Another thing I did here was I utilized this 4x4 pocket finally. So just some little 2x2 photos and this silver stars from an old Messy Box kit, and I just put 2 back to back and then stapled them in there to kind of have a see-through element and to give your eye a break. On this one, here's another 4x6 insert, and you can see here that I started utilizing some of the Pam Garrison washi tape here to kind of reinforce these, and I may go back to all of the inserts that I have and do that because I love the washi tape so much. So on this one, I layered some of the In a Creative Bubble printables that Geraldine was selling earlier this year, and on the back of that, I just took a close-up shot of our stockings and then used some Studio Calico letter stickers to spell that out. And then this is wrapping up the 24th, so I kind of have a synopsis of what happened that day. I've got some cousin photos here documenting their relationship. Pretty simple and pretty photo heavy. And then on the 25th, I'm documenting again in chronological order with a bunch of inserts what we did that day. So I wanted to, because there are so many photos, wanted to keep it pretty simple down here on the bottom. And with my journaling, it's pretty self-explanatory. Woke up in the morning, opened our stockings and some presents, went to church, and then went over to my in-laws' house where we celebrated Christmas for the rest of the day. I have this Christmas tree insert, or this Christmas tree transparency rather, from the Messy Box from last December. I used a full 2x2 sheet here just to document a tradition that we have. Everybody sits in the present chair in the order of their age and opens all of their presents. So just something really fun, and finally had enough photos to pretty much fill up this whole sheet. And then on the back, this is something that I like to do every year. I just save some of my favorite pieces of wrapping paper and then I trim them down to 2x2. Because they're scraps, they're not exactly 2x2, but it doesn't bother me at all. You can see this one is ripped up here. But just something that I like to see, all of the wrapping paper that we used. This is kind of the opposite of what I said 2 minutes ago, where, you know, this to me indicates that it's the end of that day. But this is just a shot of all of the adults, all of the older adults sleeping after we did our lunch and our gift exchange and things like that. So they're all just kind of passed out. So this I didn't want to put in before the gift exchange because everybody fell asleep after that. And then on the back of this, I kept some of my favorite gift tags that we had, and because I like to see everybody's handwriting. So I've got my dad's handwriting on there, my stepmom, um, our handwriting on a gift to my son. So that's kind of fun for me to see. And I really like to keep those things. My dad gets creative when they're writing out gift tags, just kind of writing like funny things that have to do with the present. So that's pretty much the end of the album. I wanted to include one last 6x8 thing here to wrap it up, so I just used this Merry Christmas page from the Jasmine Jones mini kit from last year, and then on the back of this, I included that picture of Mary that my son had colored because I kind of moved some things around in the album. So that's it. What I'm going to do now is put some music on and walk you guys through the album 1 through 25 so that you can see it if in its entirety, just really quickly without me giving all of the commentary. So thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you had a Merry Christmas and hope you have a Happy New Year. If you're interested, I have a Bible journaling process video coming to my channel on Wednesday, and am contemplating sharing some of my project life process videos coming in the new year. So that's about it. I'll see you guys soon, and for now I will show you the album in its entirety.